Welcome to the Veronica Edwards Show, where we have fun financial conversations that everyone listening can apply to their personal and professional life. I'm your host, Veronica Edwards, CPA, and today we are back season 6, which I can't believe. This is our second season, completely independent and sponsored by my business, Balance Virtually LLC, that provides accounting and consulting services to small business owners that are for-profit and nonprofit. So again, at the top of the show, I always like to thank the V team. We are growing strong. We have over 10,000 views on YouTube just from season 5 that started in March. So we're super excited. We want to hit 20,000 in season 6 and definitely reach our goal of 100 YouTube subscribers. We're also looking for amazing sponsors to partner with us. So if you'd like to support the show as a sponsor, a guest, or a loyal listener, please like and subscribe to the Veronica Edwards Show page on YouTube. And also head over to balancevirtually.com, where you can listen to the prior audio recordings from season 4 and 1, 2, and 3. And then you can also listen to those at veronicaedwards.buzzsprout.com. So let's jump right into today's show. Today's guest is the Associate Director of the AB Tech Small Business Center. Since 2011, today's guest has helped entrepreneurs and small business owners craft profitable business models, access resources, and turn big challenges into manageable steps. He's provided over 6,000 hours of counseling, supported more than 1,100 jobs, and helped launch nearly 200 businesses. Wow, I love that. Also drawing on over 30 years of experience as a competitive bodybuilder and personal trainer, this guest has launched 3 Planes Functional Health in 2023, a mobile personal training and corrective exercise service. So today, we're going to be talking about his journey as both a champion for entrepreneurs and for entrepreneurship himself. So without further ado, I would like to welcome today's guest, Mr. Duane C. Adams. Welcome.
Thanks, Veronica. I'm happy to be here. You can drop the C.
It is very presidential, Duane C. Adams.
I realized when I sent you the bio, I'm sure it said Duane C. But
It sure did.
It's a real pleasure to be here, and kudos to you for doing this platform. And I had a chance to check out some episodes, and it was great to see some familiar faces and just be inspired by those folks, the past guests you've had and what you do. So thank you for having me.
Absolutely. From the top, we have to shout out the great Brenda Mills. We have to shout out Miss Brenda Mills, who you introduced me to her without us even knowing each other, but I know that you provide some of your fitness training to her. So we'll talk about that in a little bit, but got to shout out Miss Brenda Mills. Love her. So Duane, when we have new guests that never been on the show before, because we have some people that reoccur on the show, we would love for you to tell us, are you from Asheville? If you're not, what brought you to Asheville and what led you to the Small Business Center? And I know that could be a deep question. So take your time, brother. We got all day for you today, Duane.
So I am born and raised in Asheville, per se, and I'll tell you why I say per se. I was, when I growing up as a child, I was born, of course, Memorial Mission Hospital in Asheville. My mom was a single mom. And until about the age of 10, I attended elementary school here in Asheville. My mom actually met my stepfather when I was she reconnected with my stepfather. I think her and my stepfather actually went to high school. Which is kind of interesting. They reconnected when I was around 8 years old. And long story short, they got married. She got pregnant with my younger brother. And when they married, we moved out to the county. And then a couple of years after moving to the county, we moved to a small town called Alexander, North Carolina. So that's why I say yes and no, I am. But yeah, I am, but I am not.
Oh yeah, we're claiming you. We're claiming you. You was born in, I never heard that, Memorial Mission Hospital. So you already know. I guess no mission.
Yeah, it was Memorial Mission Hospital at the time. My mom was actually an oncology nurse.
Oh, wow.
And she was an oncology nurse for about 30 years. So yeah, I had a pretty deep connection with that. And my stepfather, the reason we actually moved to the county was because he worked for Carolina Power and Light. And he had to stay within a certain area. He was also a volunteer at the West Buncombe Volunteer Fire Department.
Oh,
at the time.
wow.
So he did a lot. He was a Army reservist, and so my parents were very engaged in the community. And so I grew up out there in Alexander, North Carolina. I graduated from Irwin High School, and how I got to the small business, I'm going to fast forward a little bit and I'll back up later.
Sure.
But the way I got to the to actually the small business center was I had worked for a family owned small business for about 13 years. After I left that business, um, I decided I wanted to get my graduate degree in business, my MBA. So I ended up at Montreat College, and I was actually on a break in one of the classes, and the instructor at the time was Dr. Joseph Fox, who was also the chair of the business program here at AB Tech. And we kind of got the small talking during that break. And he says, "What do you want to do when you leave, when you graduate?" And
Uh-huh.
I said, I'm not really sure, Dr. Fox. I said, I just want to help people not make the same mistakes that we made. And he says, "Why don't you go talk to the folks at the Small Business Center?" And I said, "What's the Small Business Center?" And he said, "We'll be talking about that next week." And long story short, I walked up or drove up to to AB Tech's campus, walked into the Simpson building with my paper resume, talked to Daryl Rhymes, and got an interview. Within a couple of weeks, I was here at the Small Business Center as a specialist. So I was an
Okay.
admin person. I started out as an admin here at the Small Business Center. And initially, there was some concern because the salary was a lot less than what I had been making, but I just needed an opportunity. And I
Uh-huh.
wanted to really shift gears, if you will, with my
Uh-huh.
career path, and really utilize my education, uh,
Yeah.
both practical and, in from the classroom, right? So practical and formal, I guess you'd say. But yeah, so that was how I ended up at the Small Business Center. Of course, I've grown here. I've been here since 2011, as you said. Now I'm the associate director here, and I love it. Great team. So
Yes.
yeah,
And am I thinking of the same Dr. Fox that was at Brenda's event, a man of color?
yes,
And I wanna talk about that a little bit because sometimes it takes a little nudge, and we have to remember that to do that to other people. If we see something in someone and they might not have a clue, you can say, "Hey, Duane, you're actually good at this. Maybe you should look into this area." Or to your point, Duane, when you did get an opportunity, it wasn't the pay that you wanted. And it's that saying that the money will come if it's meant for you to be in this particular role. And worst case scenario, you could have tried it for a year. If it didn't work, you could have got another job. But that's
mhm,
good that you didn't let the money deter you or something that you haven't done before. And shout out to Dr. Fox, who I'm sure is retired now,
yeah.
an African American man in Asheville that helped you along your path to be where you're at today, helping so many other people in their journey.
Yeah, I want to be like Dr. Fox when I grow up. People like Dr. Fox don't really retire. He's still very active in the community. He does what I think people would describe as work still. Um,
Mm,
and Brenda Mills is the same. I mean, they're just
yes,
that's just the type of people they are. What an average person may describe as hard work, that's just part of their life's journey and what they do.
I
They're
love
all
it.
about helping people. So great
Yes.
folks to know.
So 14 years at one job. I'm jealous the I ain't never been nowhere 14 years. That's why
I'm
I
a
started my
man.
business. Ah, so tell us about some of the rewarding parts of your work working with AB Tech Small Business Center over the last almost decade and a half. I didn't realize all of the community colleges in North Carolina have a small business center. So I'm sure you
Yes.
work with just more than people in Western North Carolina, but share with us some of the highlights of, over the last 14 years, things that maybe people don't realize that the small business center offers and that's been rewarding to you as well.
Oh goodness. It's been the past 14 years has been outstanding. I have a great team. Our executive director, who's my boss, is Jill Sparks, and Jill is she calls me her work husband, which is
Hey,
kind of weird
Jill.
to me.
I met Jill too at Brenda Mills' event. If y'all don't know Brenda
Yeah,
Mills listening to this, then you don't know nobody in Nashville.
yeah, and I'll tell you, that is so important. Your team and building those relationships with your team is so important, and having people who understand your strengths and weaknesses and how um, and understand how you can each provide value when you're trying to reach certain goals within your
Uh-huh.
group. And
Uh-huh.
putting your ego aside and willing to sacrifice some things for the betterment of your team.
Uh-huh.
A lot of times I think it's really important that people need to understand that, your boss may have a different perspective on the way you want to do things. Um, but at the end of the day, if you respect leadership, you have to be willing to put your best foot forward regardless.
Correct.
And it's always a learning opportunity. And there have been times when I've been wrong. There's been times when I thought, man, this is a bad idea. I don't think we need to do this. But I
Uh-huh.
put my best foot forward
Uh-huh.
and gave 100%, and it all worked out in the end. It always worked out. It always works out in the end if you do things with integrity. Um,
Absolutely.
definitely. So, yeah, the interesting thing about the Small Business Center, and I'm a lifetime learner. So one of the things that I'll tell you when I first came here, I didn't think I was going to last. You talk about 14 years, and quite frankly, the first couple of years, I thought I was going to be gone. I just did not feel like I was connecting with people very well. I had never really worked with entrepreneurs at this level.
Right.
One day I was really frustrated, and one of my colleagues at the time came into my office and she says, "What's going on?" I said, I really feel like I'm not connecting with these folks. I said, we're talking about business planning and these sorts of things. And I was just rambling. And she says, "Your problem is entrepreneurs don't talk that way." And so she gave me a book. It was called Who Owns the Ice House? And I
Hmm.
don't know if you're all familiar with that
I'm
book, but
not.
it's
Who
it's a
owns the
really
ice house?
yep, it's a really great read. It is typically utilized by folks who are getting trained in the Ice House Entrepreneurial program, which is
Hmm.
a very popular program throughout the network and with business coaches. But I never got certified in Ice House, or I haven't as of yet. But I did read the book, and I learned a lot about how to speak to entrepreneurs. And
Oh,
um, business plans are great, but you have to know how to leverage different parts of the business plan when you're trying to meet people where they are.
uh-huh.
And that's really important too. You have to understand that you got to meet people where they are.
Yep.
So for me, I learned how to do that, and then I had to think, what can I offer to my clients that's of value, right?
That part. Yep.
So for me, it was most of my clients come in, they don't even know what an entrepreneur is. They don't know what an entrepreneur versus a small business owner versus a manager is. And so I had all this management experience. And for me, management is all about sustaining a business.
Yes.
You can be a small business owner, you can be whatever you want to think an entrepreneur is. But if you want longevity in business, you got to know how to manage it.
Period.
And so that for me is like, okay, I think I found a home here at the Small Business Center because I actually have management expertise. I
Uh-huh.
have an MBA. A lot of folks don't realize an MBA is a management degree.
Yes, it is.
It is not an entrepreneurship degree. A lot of MBAs come out, they graduate, and they don't know the first step in starting a business. Quite frankly, because it's management, which is two
Uh-huh.
totally different things. So
Uh-huh.
um, and I tell you, one of the greatest things that I see, greatest benefits that I get from working with folks is seeing a small lifetime business become a full time job for someone.
Yes.
It's not
Yes.
about these high growth, and no disrespect to high growth companies. Love them. We need them. But
Absolutely.
there's something different about someone who has a passion, and she's a mom, and she's involved in her community, and she wants to make a difference, and she's working this job, but she knows there's something better out there, and she just needs a little direction. And you're able to help her grow, and you see her slowly progress out of that job into a job for herself. That
Yes.
is that is an awesome feeling.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I'm so fortunate that I get to be a part of that for folks.
That's cool. I'm a business coach also through Mountain BizWorks and WNC Pathways, and it's a privilege and an honor to coach people because, like you said, you almost feel like they're therapists and you're helping them break down those walls and those barriers, and sometimes they just need a little guidance to take them to the next level, and all of the people that you work with, I'm sure now that I've met you officially, Duane, I tell people, "You know Duane Adams." Of course I know Duane Adams. Like, everyone you've just so you know, you're kind of a big deal in Asheville, and you have helped a lot of people, which makes me so proud that you have your own business, Three Planes Functional Health. So tell us a little background about that. What inspired you to take that leap for your own business after spending so much time helping others with theirs? Because even though people are like, "Oh, yeah, that's the natural progression," not necessarily, because now you've seen all the sides of business, the good, the bad, the ugly. So tell us a little
Yeah.
bit about your business.
Well, big ups to my boss who understands that if you want to help entrepreneurs and small business owners, you might be able to provide value if you are one yourself.
Absolutely.
So, like I said, when I came to the table, I was with a small family owned business. And I learned a lot about business ownership, but I didn't own the business.
Mhm.
I managed the business. And again, that's how I'm able to provide value, or initially was how I was able to provide value to my clients. Um, Three Planes Functional Health, just so you know, has nothing to do with airplanes. Um,
It's a catchy title.
Three planes functional health refers to the three planes of movement. You have three planes of movement. There's a frontal plane, a sagittal plane, and what's called a transverse plane. So those are movement planes, if you will. And so that's what my business is. That's how my business is named. That's how I came across that name. But this has been part of a life journey for me. So when you asked this question, I was like, wow. I said, this gonna be a little long-winded, but
Come on. I like a long-winded answer. We independent. Take your time.
yeah, but so to be honest with you, I was already kind of in the space way before I started the business. I've been rate training since I was 14 years old. I was a typical athlete, started out playing little league baseball.
Mhm.
Then I got to middle school and I dropped baseball and started playing football. In 11th grade, I started running track. And then it's so funny because my senior year, my mom took me off the track team because she didn't like my grades.
Mhm. Good
and, and-
mommy. Good
right.
mommy.
And thank God football season had ended. But thanks to Miss Brown's Algebra 3 trigonometry class.
Not
Um,
remembering the teacher's name and the
oh
class.
yeah, yeah. Thanks to her class because it ruined my dreams of winning the gold medal at the Olympics. So
Yeah, yeah, I know that's right. But look, we wouldn't have you if that was your plan. So
absolutely, absolutely. And it's I want to stress that I was taken off of the track team because my mom didn't like my grades. Okay.
yes. Yeah.
Uh the school was fine, the teachers were fine. My mom said, you can do better.
Mm.
And we're gonna take this off the table so you can focus. And I think that's really important.
Mhm.
Parenting is really
Yes.
important, and having structure is really important. But she was the one that really was the reason that had to stop, and I had to learn how to focus on some other things. But anyway, finished high school, went off to East Carolina University for about 2 years. Was taking prerequisites to get into the physical therapy program, um, and came home. Like I said, my mom had been an oncology nurse for about 30 years. And so she had some strings she could pull at Mission Hospital at the time. And so I was coming home and doing volunteer work over
Mhm.
vacation and over the holidays, getting those hours in. And long story short, it was a very challenging program to get into.
Oh,
They were
yes.
taking about 25 students a year, and they were students with 4.0 pluses and all types of volunteer time. And it was just tough. They were not getting into the program.
Whew.
So I left and came back home and just kind of re-collaborated, if you will.
Mhm.
And when I came back home, my mom says to me, she said, you're going to get a job, you're going to go to work, or you're going to do both, but you're not going to sit around the house. And so,
Period.
yeah, yeah. And so she was really big on that. And she wouldn't even let me take a year off between high school and college, which that's kind of I don't agree
We
with
go
that, but
Yeah, it depends on the child, if there's a plan. It
yeah,
can't, like mom said, can't just be sitting on the couch
yeah,
watching
that,
TV, being an influencer, all the things. Not that we hating on you guys, but yes, it would
yeah,
have to be you're doing some mission work. You're going
yeah,
somewhere, you're doing something that's bigger than you, but yes.
yeah. And I wasted a lot of money those first 2.5 years. So
ECU is known as a party school. I don't know if it was
yeah.
when you went there, Duane.
Oh yeah, it was the number one party school in the country when I went, and yeah. So, but anyway, we're not going to get into that. So that,
Right.
yeah,
Good times. Go ECU Pirates, right?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And but yeah, so I ended up coming back home. I went to AV Tech and got my associate's degree. When I finished with my associate's degree, that's when I went and started working with a family-owned business. I actually got my bachelor's degree while I was working.
Okay,
And then
okay.
also while I was working, I started competitive bodybuilding.
Ooh.
And then so I was a competitive bodybuilder from about 2003 to 2009. So I've always had exercise, an interest in that throughout my entire life. I've loved it. I was the
Mhm.
kid that during football season, the coach would give us Fridays off to during gym class to either play basketball or lift weights. I was that one kid that stayed in the weight room. Everybody else shot basketball.
Oh,
so
snap.
so yeah, so that was me. So yeah, I was a competitive bodybuilder for about 7 years, and I was a pretty good bodybuilder. I started out as a natural bodybuilder. They used to hold a show here called the North Carolina Supernatural. It was a
Okay.
natural event, and I actually the first year I went out, I lost that show and to an individual who actually failed the drug test after the show,
Mhm,
which
mhm,
kind of
mhm.
made me the winner by default. But I was determined to go back to the show the next year, and I just wanted to win the show outright. So I went back to the show the next year, was the overall champion that year, and a lot of people had encouraged me. The judges, particularly, had encouraged me to transition into what's called the National Physique Committee.
Mhm,
The National Physique Committee is an untested sanction that has a direct pathway to becoming what's called an IFBB Pro, International Federation of Bodybuilders.
mhm.
So I competed in the National Physique Committee still as a natural competitor. I never took drugs. I chose to educate myself about nutrition, about diet, about things like that, because I've always been this geek
I love
when it
that.
comes to exercise and health. And so during that time span, I'm not bragging on myself, but I never finished outside the top three in a state or
Come
regional
on.
show.
Come on, Duane
Um,
C. Adams. Let's
I
go.
was a two-time runner up, state runner up in the North Carolina State Championships. Lost by 1 point, which in bodybuilding is losing by 1 point is quite common. If you know much about the judging, you have seven judges. They drop the high and the low score, and then the lowest score wins, kind of like golf.
Mm, mhm.
And so, competed a couple of times at the what's called the Junior USA in Charleston, South Carolina, and didn't do extremely well at the Junior USA. I was up against some heavy competition, and when you get to a certain point, these guys are they're trying to get the bag, if you
Oh,
will.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
So it's like once you get that pro card, you have access to more opportunities and sponsorships and things like that. This
Mhm.
is before the internet, by the way. So it's not like
Oh.
nowadays you can just pitch a tent anywhere and monetize anything. So it was very competitive.
Mhm,
Let's just put it that way. And my mentor at the time was a guy out of Greensboro, North Carolina, and he was an IFBB pro. He had turned pro back in the '80s, and he set me down and he said, you got a lot of potential, but he said you're going to have to make a decision. He said at this point
mhm.
you're really going to have to make a decision. So we had the PED conversation,
Yeah.
and
And for
so
those
for
listening,
me,
what is PED?
performance enhancing drugs.
Yes.
And quite honestly, you can't be competitive once you get to a certain point um, in the bodybuilding world, in the pro bodybuilding world. It's just the truth of
It
the
is what it
matter.
is. Yeah.
It is what it is. And so for me, I just took a different path. Still continue to train in the gym. Have loved it. People always come up and ask me for advice and things like that, and I swore I would never train anybody. because I didn't want it to take away from me.
Right, right.
I'm selfish and I'm still competitive, right? I'm still competitive. Like, I'm not
Oh,
sharing
I'm looking
information with
at
you.
those shows.
It took
Right,
me
right.
decades to learn what I know. I'm not sharing. So I'm still really competitive when it comes to that sort of thing. Um, so, um, but during the, I'm going to fast forward a little bit. During the pandemic, we all had to go home. Well, I'll back up just a little bit. In 2016, I got certified as a trainer through the American Council on Exercise, just
Nice.
so you know. And again, that was just me having the desire to learn more so I could
Hmm.
use this information for myself.
Right.
Okay. So now I'll go back to the pandemic. So the pandemic is what really pushed me into launching Three Planes Functional Health. When we walked out of the gym in March of 2020, I made a promise to myself that I wouldn't return to that space in worse physical shape than I was when I left.
Hmm.
Um, so I also needed to fix myself because I had some injuries and I wanted to explore different aspects of recovery. So I started exploring functional aspects of how the body works. So I also had some certificates and recovery techniques like myofascial release and stretching, things like
Okay.
that that
Okay.
I had already obtained, if you will. And then while I was out during the pandemic away from the gym, I started exploring calisthenics, HIIT training, isometrics, and from being a competitive bodybuilder, I'm quite familiar with those principles as well. So I took time also to get an additional certification as a corrective exercise specialist because once again, that's something that I wanted for myself. I was trying
Hmm.
to learn about pain management, how to make myself feel better. Um, so fast forward to going back to the gym about 6, 7 months later,
Hmm.
and I was actually still in really good shape, hadn't really lost a step, but I was hearing a lot of people, particularly the men, say things like, I'm so out of shape because my dumbbells at home only go up to 30 pounds.
Hmm.
And I'm like, are you
That ain't no
serious?
excuse.
Are you serious? So I'm like, in an attempt to sound macho, people were just sounding really ignorant. And
Yeah.
when I say ignorant, I don't mean it in a disrespectful manner. It just didn't sound like they were very educated.
Right.
So um, that was when I said, I think I can do this. And I've always been frustrated with watching people in the gym.
I
I
know
always
you
say
are.
I always say it's the worst place to go learn how to train. If you just go in there and you copy what people do, you're not going to last very long. Um, so um, my boss, one day I was having a conversation with my boss about, you need to start training people, all this good stuff. And our VP, Deborah Wright, who had started during the pandemic, she became our VP during the pandemic. She was actually getting ready for her wedding. And my boss, Jill, had actually suggested that I train Deborah.
I
And I
love
was just like,
Joe.
maybe, whatever. I might come back,
Right.
you know. And she kind of pushed me into it, quite frankly. So,
Voluntold.
through text and email, she got me connected with Deborah. Deborah's like, I'd be willing to be a client if you'd be interested in helping. And that's kind of how I tiptoed into working with
Yes.
clients hands on. And I love it. My value proposition is it's a mobile business.
Mhm,
So I train
mhm.
people at home
I
in
love
their space
that.
within their comfort zone. I do an assessment prior to us even starting our relationship to make sure that they don't have any contraindications. I check
Mhm,
their posture, things like that. Because one of the things I discovered too is I'm not big on this theory that we get weaker as we age.
mhm,
I know that exists, but there's also the fact that we get stiffer as we age and we become less mobile as we age. And
mhm.
if you're trying to move something and you're restricted, it's going to be more complicated for you to move said object.
Totally makes it yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Right. So I'm really big on that. So I'm really big on showing people how to exercise and preparing them for exercise um, prior to um, you know getting into a specific type of regimen, if you will. So that's my value proposition. And I've had clients say to me after I work with them, they say, "I'll never go back to the gym." And so
I'm so glad you said that, Duane, because I'm not a gym person. Same thing during the pandemic. I
right.
have a cousin that she's not certified, but she's very much so an enthusiast about fitness and does all the things. And we've been doing that, and that works great. We've done Planet Fitness, we've done the Racket Club. Like you said, it's just not my thing. So that's wonderful that you found a niche naturally. We talk about this all the time on the show. A lot of times you have a business, but it takes somebody encouraging you, pushing you sometimes, people offering to pay you. And finally, you're like, okay, I get it. Maybe
Yeah.
it's time for me to move forward, making this hobby into a business. So, Duane, before we go, I have to ask you for those that are listening, when to start a business, whether if it's in fitness, consulting, any industry, what's the number one piece of advice you'll like to share from your perspective as being a coach, but also being a business owner yourself? And then I would love for you to share how people can get in contact with you if you're taking clients, how they can find out about all the great things that's coming up with the Small Business Center from now until the end of the year.
Thanks, Veronica. Veronica, you give me, it's so funny because you're asking me like this one thing, this one thing. Like, are
Just
you
one,
serious?
just the
One
top
thing.
one. Yes, yes, just one.
Um, you need a skill. And so you have to understand that when I say skill, that's a very broad term.
Right.
There's hard skills and there's soft skills. And so, but for me, it's you have to have something of value
Hmm.
that you can monetize.
Yes.
Okay. So without a skill, you can't be creative or innovative. And without creativity or innovation, you can't be entrepreneurial. You
Come
have
on
to
now.
have a skill so that you can use your brain to be more creative in what
Uh-huh.
you're doing.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And so that is the number one thing. So it's just like again, old school, I was told, got to get that degree. You got to,
Yep.
get that master's, blah, blah,
Yep.
blah.
Yep.
But the fact of the matter is, a 2-year degree is okay. No degree is okay. But you have to
Hmm.
have a skill.
Period.
You have
Yep.
to have some sort of a skill. And so I know plumbers and electricians that make more than PhDs, quite honestly.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
let's
Brick
just be real here.
masons. Absolutely. You can own a cleaning company, a plumbing company, heating and cooling. You're absolutely right. Having
Right.
a skill that you can monetize is the key. Because a lot of people's like, oh, I can make wooden necklaces, but does anybody want that? That's a great
Absolutely.
skill. So it sounds simple, but you're right. A lot of times it takes knowing that, yes, I provide accounting services, but my skill set might be different from someone else. And there's more than enough business out there. I tell people some industries are a little oversaturated, as we would say. There's a lot of people, but what makes your business different is you.
Right. And public speaking is a skill. So just think about that because I have clients who do that and they do very well with it.
Uh-huh.
So your business needs to be an extension of who you are. It needs to be something that you have a passion for. If you just heard what I was saying about Three Planes Functional Health,
Yes.
14 years old, it's an extension of who I am.
Right. And I know
Um,
you're only 24, 25 right now. So it's been
hey, I'm 51. I'm not ashamed to say it. I'm 51.
yes,
And
Dwayne, you look great. You look
so
great.
thank you. So thank you.
And
So
please tell us, are you taking clients?
yes. Yes, I am.
Yes, I
Yes, I
wasn't
am.
sure because I know he was hesitant in the beginning. If you're not taking to, how do we follow you, like you? How do we want to get? If I want to get in contact with you, I was telling Duane, I just had a goal just before I die. I just want to see if I can get in that bodybuilding shape or fitness shape. But then after that, I want to be able to eat. I don't want to be weighing everything, doing all that fun stuff. But how do we get in contact with you?
There's two ways to get in contact with me right now. One will be by phone. It's 828-539-0865. You can also email me at the number three, planesfunctionalhealth.com. Info@threeplanesfunctionalhealth.com. Info@threeplanesfunctionalhealth.com. Website coming soon, I promise. So maybe by the
Yay!
time this show airs, I have a website up.
All
So
right.
definitely keep it on your radar. Um, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So thank
All
you.
right. And then for the Small Business Center, why would someone come to the Small Business Center? What's your elevator pitch for the Small Business Center? And how would people also reach out to you for those services?
Well, one thing I would say to you is if you're paying taxes, you're paying us anyway. Um,
I like
so
that.
why not leverage our no cost services? Everything that we do is free. So if you don't remember anything else I say about the Small Business Center, everything that we do is free. We provide one on one confidential counseling. We provide programs online and in person, and we do community outreach. So we consider ourselves to be the front door for anyone who's looking to start or build a business. And
Uh-huh.
we have a strong referral network. So none of us is in here blowing smoke, claiming that we have expertise in things that we don't. We can get you to the right people.
Yes, and Duane has allowed me to be a coach and a facilitator, so thank you very much. And
Absolutely.
Duane, thank you so much. Duane was fighting traffic on I-26. If anybody knows in Western North Carolina, that could be 20 minutes or 2 hours. So thank you so much for jumping right in and joining us. And again, I just want to thank the V team. I want to thank everybody for listening to the show, supporting the Veronica Edwards Show. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube. You can hear us on Buzzsprouts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anything that plays podcasts, so you can never miss an episode. And until next time, stay balanced and financially savvy.